Ulonga tabati yada to ye ko madaifa. Ino to ye ko jeun. Love bi pa. Oba tala, oba takutakun. Songo Eshu, Ogun Oya Osun. Kini ṣẹ̀ṣe tán ṣe nílé yìí o.
Peace and blessings, peace and blessings. Welcome to another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I am your host, Orisha Gbemi, and today we have on Miss Millie Reynoso, founder of Milagros Wellness Sanctuary, Tampa, Florida. What's going on, Millie? Welcome back. We appreciate you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me again. Alafia, everyone.
I'm definitely happy to have you back. The people are happy to have you back because the first episode made splashes. I got a lot of really good feedback from people online and people that I know personally in person that really enjoyed it, and they said it was right on time, man. They said that was spot on. It was right on time. We needed that, and so I'm like, you know what? Well, let's do it again.
Oh, bless.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. So with that, it's a lot. It's a lot like it was last time going on, especially with spirit. And then I was just informed that we're back into another Mercury retrograde, and that probably would explain a lot of the technology malfunctions and all kind of stuff I've been dealing with my shows not going the way I want them to because of the technology. Some of them, the videos are coming up blurry. The sound might not be working. It's all kind of crazy stuff going on. And that makes sense now that you say that we are going into just went into another Mercury retrograde.
Yeah, actually, I believe yesterday, August 5th.
Gotcha. So with that, what exactly is Mercury retrograde? Because I hear it a lot. Excuse me. I know it's a very common theme that people do talk about, especially like the quote unquote conscious community and all that. But what exactly is Mercury retrograde?
So Mercury retrograde, technically speaking, and I'm not an astrologer, but I know that it is the planet Mercury. And so when you look at the planet Mercury, it looks like it stops and then it goes backwards. Okay.
Gotcha.
And basically when it goes backwards, it generally speaking on a collective level, it just appears that things slow down. It invites miscommunication. Orisha Gbemi, I was telling you that I just to bear with me, because when Mercury goes retrograde, it's in my 5th house of communication and astrology. So my astrologer said, try to talk slower and, to be clear. So it can affect communication. It can affect technology because remember, it's electrical. Everything is electricity. So when Mercury, which I believe governs, technology and all those things, when it goes backwards, it can affect technology. It could affect travel. So any travel plans that you have, just double, triple check the time that you're supposed to leave, all of those things, and just be patient if there's some type of delay. I'm supposed to be traveling next week. So I was just sharing, with Orisha Gbemi that I'm trying to figure out if I should roll my clothes really, really tight and fit them into a carry-on. Or go ahead and check the bag and, tell Archangel Michael to kind of watch that, you know what I mean? Because it's a wedding and I do want to wear my dress. And right. So, so Mercury can be, it does govern communication. So just try to be mindful of the words that you say. Sometimes people could take it wrong. It's one of those things that when Mercury goes retrograde, it's inviting you to be more patient. It's definitely, it can be very challenging, but it's also very positive because Mercury retrograde is the perfect time for reflection. So it does govern reflection. It governs rest. It governs pause. So that's a really, really good time to do some shadow work. Using the energies of Mercury retrograde, because it's almost like, your own personal therapist that you sit with and say, okay, what is it that I, from the past that I need to process, that I haven't healed? It's a perfect time to really sit with yourself and recognize any, vicious You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Blockages, vicious cycles, maybe there's, you're dating and you seem to attract the same old person. This is the type of person, rather. It's a wonderful time to really sit down and do some shadow work to see what is within yourself that keeps inviting some of these things. That's one of the powers of Mercury retrograde. But generally speaking, anything that can possibly go wrong, that's what Mercury retrograde is in charge of. So it's just to be more mindful in terms of communications. Any miscommunication that you may have received, just ask for clarity, to make sure that you're on the same page. It is definitely not a good time to sign contracts. It is not a good time to start anything new. Okay. Now, the wedding I'm going to is during a Mercury retrograde, but I think this was pre-planned. So if you plan something long before the Mercury retrograde and it falls around the time of the Mercury retrograde, then you're good. But it's not a good time to start something new, and it's not a good time to sign contracts. Now, if you have to sign a contract or do any type of legal binding thing, then it's okay as long as it was done before then. Do not look for a house during Mercury retrograde. Do not buy a car during Mercury retrograde. Do not do any of those things.
Wow. Nah, that's powerful. I appreciate it too, because I hear about it so much, and I had an idea of what it was, but I like the way you explained it, because you gave a lot of different scenarios and different ways that it could be effective to us. And like when you first initially started speaking, I was looking, because I had just put a post up on social media the other day about the Yoruba original African cosmology, and so I was looking because each of the major 8 or 9 Orishas is all attributed to a different planet, right? And I was looking to see who was attributed to Mercury. And so I was thinking, the way you said, the way it like messes with technology and all that, I was thinking that it would be Ogun, but it wasn't actually Ogun. It was actually Eshu, which makes even more sense.
Oh my God!
Which makes even way more sense as to why that's going on. So yeah, Eshu is
the Joker that likes to thwart things.
The Joker, the trickster, the childlike guy. That's Baba Eshu. Yeah, hello, yeah, go bye. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's the planet that's attributed to him, Mercury, for sure. That makes perfect sense. Wow. So with that,
and I believe that Eshu is in charge of opening up roads, right? So that's a really good time to plan. Again, rest and reflection. So it's a good time to plan, to meditate on what it is that you want to manifest. Or maybe there is something that you want to manifest. It's a good time to work your magic.
No, I love that, and what's kind of cool about it too is Eshu is Mercury, attributed to Mercury, but Ogun is attributed to Mars. Now, and Ogun, of course, is the deity connected to technology, building, creation of, in terms of all those different things that we use, like metals and tools, and like even the internet. All that technology is attributed to Ogun, and Eshu and Ogun work, hand in hand together, being considered to be the two warriors who, people who've made it to that phase of their journey. If you've been to someone's house and they had like the Eshu, the stone head, and they had the black pot, the big cauldron, with the tools in it, that would symbolize Ogun and Ochosi behind the door. So it's definitely, it makes a lot of sense, especially with the alignment, and then with Mercury being attributed to Eshu, and he is the deity in the Orisha of communication, of clearing the roads, of clearing the paths, of how to make decisions at the crossroads. He can also block your road and block your path if you're not appeasing him or doing right by, your Ori and your ancestors in Egbe and the Orisha, etc. So yeah, that definitely makes a lot of sense. That that's what Mercury retrograde is about, and who's attributed to. So you mentioned doing. Yeah, that's cool. I'm learning on the clock, on the job, like. But it's cool because you mentioned shadow work. Can you kind of like share with the audience and the listeners what your definition or interpretation of shadow work is? Because some people, I'm sure a lot of people know, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of people who might not know what shadow work is as well.
Well, a beautiful example of shadow work, more on a, on just a general level, is when you go to a therapist, you're actually doing shadow work. You know, when you're talking about things of the past that may have caused you emotional and or physical dis-ease, and you're talking to a therapist, you're actually doing shadow work. But on the more spiritual end, when you're doing the shadow work, you're literally sitting and reflecting, you know, on your own. And usually it's with guidance, divine guidance. So, you know, you're inviting any ascended masters or spiritual, you know, spirit, or your guides to kind of help facilitate this, or to unearth or surface anything that has not been properly healed. And yes, there are rules or, like, you know, guidances on how to do it, but I believe there's no right or wrong way of doing it. You know, just generally speaking, what you do is you sit with the intention of releasing, you know, anything known or unknown to you, that needs to be recalibrated or transmuted into light and healing. So as an example, I'll use my personal experience with doing shadow work. So I had a lot of sacral chakra issues, meaning that I suffered from lots of fibroids. You know, I had, you know, repetitive surgeries. So one day when the doctor mentioned that I had to have yet another surgery, what I did, you know, I meditated, and spirit says, you know, you need to heal your ancestors, because the fibroids stem from the ancestors.
Wow.
So I had to do shadow work with that. And so what I did was I sat, I lit my candle, you know, for my ancestors, you know, all that are known to me and unknown to me. And with the intention of healing, you know, any vibrational discord that is causing dis-ease to me. And so what was very interesting during the meditation, I felt so much pain and sadness. And it revolved around the men that my ancestors were connected to. So they may have been, you know, sexually assaulted. They may have been diminished as a woman. You know, all those things came up. So I found myself crying. But the crying was not the sadness. The crying is the detox. It's moving that energy. And so that's just one example that I did, you know, in terms of shadow work. But you could do shadow work on your life, yourself. You sit with it with the intention of healing anything from the past, whether you remember them or not. A lot of times when we're babies, you know, and babies are extremely sensitive to energy, we feel a lot of things that our parents, you know, or grandparents or people in our environment, you know, our guardians went through. And so we can do the shadow work of that experience, whether we remember them or not. And so basically, in essence, it's just sitting with that, with the intention of just clearing and cleaning. And there's no, there's no right or wrong way on how to do it. I mean, you can always go onto YouTube and search for ways of doing shadow work, but there's no better way than you doing it, because you're freestyling it, you know? And you're following your own innate guidance on how to do it. You could definitely call upon the Orishas to do it. As a matter of fact, I worked with Oshun to help facilitate the healing of that, because she governs the heart chakra, but she's also the mother. Gotcha. And so then we worked together, all of us, me and my posse. We all sat together, went through files.
Yeah, that's what's up. Listen, I almost wore my Now, I'm gonna say I almost wore my Emoja t-shirt today, but I was like, the ancestors spoke to me, so I said, let me go ahead and ride with the ancestors today.
Right?
Yeah.
But you know, and another thing that you could do is there was another thing that you can do is you know, when you're doing shadow work, part of shadow work is also journalizing. You know, really reflecting and just writing everything down, because when you write, in general, when you're writing in the diary, when you're writing in your journal and expressing your feelings, you're literally moving energy out. So it's no longer suppressed in your body, in your energy, but you're moving that energy out. So writing in general, I mean, a lot of people don't know it, but every day you're doing shadow work, you know. because sometimes you sit down, you know, people who love to journalize, they just sit with it. They're like, okay, what do I write today? And then all of a sudden a memory will pop up, you know. So, you know, it's very simple. You know, shadow work is very important. I encourage everyone to do it. Do not be afraid to do it. Let me tell you something. If people are afraid of facing feelings, you know, uncomfortable feelings like fear or anxiety or anger, if they're afraid of approaching that, you know, there's no need to be afraid, because literally when I was studying this stuff, it only you feel it for 45 seconds and then it dissipates. Okay.
Wow.
And then another thing, you know, because I also channel, so Spirit wanted me to also share with you guys that remember that any heavy emotion is a toxic emotion of, you know, meaning anger, fear, anxiety. That's a disconnection from Spirit. You're disconnecting from yourself. You're disconnecting your mind from your emotional body. So that is the time to do shadow work. Sit with it. And, you know, even if you have no idea why you feel these things, just take time and work on it. If it doesn't happen on day 1, do it for day 2, for day 3. Continue to do it until you're able to move some of that energy.
Yeah, that's powerful. And you know, when you spoke about like how I guess healing and how much work writing is, it really is, because that can kind of segue into like the next phase of what we were going to discuss today. Because I know me personally, growing up, I had a lot of anger, I had a lot of aggression, I had a lot of I feel like misplaced or displaced anger and violent tendencies and volatility, you know, as a child. And I didn't really know like what that stemmed from until I got grown. And then when I wrote it was technically the second book I wrote, because Starseeds was the first book that came out opposite. Tips came out first before Starseeds. But anywho, so I'll just say the first book I ever published was Tips. And I remember writing that book when I got on the chapter that talked about healing and talked about like self-love. I recall like time traveling. And when I went back at the time until like I say like early to mid and late 80s, and like writing down about those specific timelines in my life, I remember writing out what those things were that I felt like kind of was like release. Like you said, it was like a release, not really necessarily tears, but I would say more like intellectual libations or intellectual tears, you know, of joy, because by releasing those things from my mind and my heart to the paper, it gave me the time to reflect on it, like, damn, now that makes sense to why, you know, I was so easily triggered and why I would have those like emotional hijackings or just be ready to turn up and go in, you know, and get physical or get violent, whatever the case may be, because of one, not having the self-control and the patience, but two, not knowing where this misplaced or this, you know, unidentified anger came from. And so by writing, it really did give me the opportunity to share those thoughts and those feelings and relive those moments to where I'm like, oh, wow, now that makes sense. Now I get why, you know, these types of things happen. And then that even goes into doing like work, you know, getting not just the shadow work that we can do ourselves, but going to see someone like yourself to where we can actually get a much deeper, almost like a deep tissue massage for our body. We get to get like a deep energy, you know, healing session when we go to people like you. And so, I recall going to you, I don't know, what was a Saturday, I think, to get my session done. And I just remember the difference of just sitting there, you know, in the room alone kind of helped me to get my energy right. But then when we actually did the session, like that was a whole nother level, because I felt like I could feel the layers of, you know, whatever it was that was kind of like into my energy space or into my energy bodies and zones. I can kind of feel those weighing on, but I remember feeling them kind of being disconnected and cut off and ripped away as well throughout the ceremony. So what exactly are you as a healer when you're healing your clients and we're on the table and you're doing your healing session? What exactly are you doing when you're doing your work in terms of like the auric body and the spirit self when you're actually conducting these types of Reiki sessions?
Well, you know, first and foremost, going back a little bit, understand that shadow work invites you to approach those challenges, experiences, whether you remember them or not, but also it's recognizing that that contrast, that challenging experience is your master teacher. Okay. So, you know, that was one of the things the Spirit wanted me to share, is that, you know, understand that that is your master teacher, that difficult experience, because a teacher doesn't necessarily have to be a being, but it could be the experience. Okay.
Wow.
So going back to the energy healing, what I do is I help facilitate that.
I got you.
Some people do have a hard time, you know, with that type of shadow work, and it's almost like I'm an energy doula. So I kind of help facilitate the and again, my words, it help kind of surface or push up and recalibrate that stuck energy. So what I do is I assess your energy. So we have different energy bodies. So we have the physical body, and then we have our spiritual bodies. We have, you know, various spiritual bodies. And I always like to say that we're kind of like a vinyl record, where the vinyl, there's the middle part with the label on it. That's the physical body. And then there's the different tracks, which is the different spirit bodies. And when we go through life, whether in this lifetime or in the past lifetime, and when our ancestors go through, you know, difficult experiences, you know, a lot of times within our auric expression, it can create an imprint if we don't properly process or it goes unprocessed. So our auric fields, just like the physical body, when you get a cut, when you get some type of injury, it has the ability to heal itself on its own, right? So does the energy bodies. What happens is sometimes, kind of like the physical body, it requires extra help, right? So with the physical body, if there's an injury, it might require surgery, right? So it's the same thing with the spiritual bodies. If there's a deep injury, it will require surgery. So that's what I do. What I do is I locate any imprints. I assess your energy to locate any imprints, I like to call it, or vibrational knots or tears. And once I locate that, what I use is a tuning fork or specific sounds to help recalibrate that. See, our energy bodies are frequency, but it's also sound. So kind of like a piano or a guitar, that after a while it becomes out of tune, or if that experience throws off our tune, if that makes sense, throws off our tune, right? Or we sound not in tune.
Right.
A perfect sound, like a perfect pitch sound or a perfect tone, what happens is the body starts to hear itself. And once it hears itself, it tries to mimic that perfect tone. So it starts to recalibrate and fix itself. And so that's where, for some people, generally speaking, when they receive like sound healing or some type of deep healing, or even Reiki healing or any type of energy healing, you know, people will start to cry. People will get aches or pains in the body, or they feel sick before they get better, or, you know, anything that makes you feel off because the body is recalibrating and healing. And so that's what I do. I look for, I recalibrate on behalf, like, to be clear, and I want to be clear, it's not all me. This is a partnership thing. You and I are both doing this together, because your intention of wanting to heal is working in partnership with my ability to help you facilitate that healing.
Yeah. That's what's up. Now, and you know, as you was explaining, I love that explanation too. That really, I feel like, brings a real, really crystal clear definition and expression of it, to where people can relate to it, especially people who are brand new, and maybe even people who are familiar with Reiki and healing and sound bowls, etc. Because, like I said, the way you broke it down, and really you put it into perspective where anybody can relate to it. Anybody can, you know, like, understand what you're speaking of in terms of something that I feel like is an intricate topic, but it was easily digestible, you know, because the way you broke it down. And when you were doing that, it reminded me of, sometimes I feel like, well, actually it's two things. One, it reminds me of how when we get our Ori cleaning, when we go to get an Ori cleaning and have that ritual done, it's a very similar, I feel like, concept, but it's just focusing more so on the, you know, the third eye, the mind, the mind's eye, and, you know, the crown of our head, and the Ori, of course, which are almost similar, you know, together collectively. But also, it reminds me of not just that, but it reminds me there's times when I do divination where people sometimes get emotional, and I think it kind of goes back to what I was just saying about when I was writing, I didn't really get emotional, but I was able to get clarity. I was healing as I was writing because I could see where some of the struggles that I had as a child stem from. So I think sometimes when I'm doing like divination sessions with people or just whatever, counseling people with whatever with what I do, sometimes people get emotional and sometimes shed tears. But at the end of the day, I've never taken it as they were shedding tears, like in being emotional, like sadness. I think it's like a release as wow. Like, this is really,
divination is energy healing.
Gotcha.
It doesn't have to be hands-on.
Right.
It could be talk therapy. Technically divination is a talk therapy.
Yeah.
But more on a deeper esoteric level.
Yeah.
And so with the intenting of, because your intent, let me heal this person. That's the original intent. Let's get to the nitty gritty of it all. Let's see what's going on. And even though, like, say if they have to do, some kind of sacrifice or something, any bulk, right? Or something, there's still a pre-healing. A healing is already taking place because it's already in the work. So but it's working within that person. So it's absolutely beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And the beauty is that it doesn't matter what even if you go to a normal therapist, sometimes, a therapist don't even know that they're doing healing,
right.
Or a doctor, a doctor doesn't know that they're doing healing just by talking to the person, but it's because and that's how you could tell somebody is open, spiritually speaking, like they're, I don't want to say authentic, maybe authentic, but also like they're operating from the heart space,
and they're operating from a sense of service and not a sense of
absolutely.
entitlement or ego. And I know that for a fact, because even when I was doing like as a life coach, I've done life coaching and business coaching, and before even being in the priesthood and any of this, the spiritual aspects of it, I was still doing the similar line of work, whether it was consulting, coaching, mentoring, etc. And I've been doing that since 2016, 2017 professionally. But now that I look back in time, I've been doing it all my life. So it's not like this is something new. It's just I feel like it's being applied in new ways, or just new avenues, but it's still the same thing. You're serving people, you're serving your family, your community, culture, however, whatever levels you're doing it at, but it's all about service. And for me, I love being able to give people the ability to see things from a different perspective, that of course they have the capabilities of seeing things or handling and dealing with situations, but they probably just didn't see it the way I was able to put it into focus for them because they're in the picture. So I heard Les Brown say you can't see the picture if you're in the frame. So, but somebody outside, somebody who has your best interest in mind, can see different things that can be changed and shifted or tweaked to take you to another level. And those are the things I love doing, because I get to see the results from people by being able to go to the next level from something that, they weren't able to see, but they were more than capable of doing, but they just didn't see how to do whatever it was to do. So I feel like that's something you also do with what you do in terms of helping us to heal within our auric and our energy cells.
Absolutely. And even years ago, when I wasn't in Santeria, but when I was a normal teenager on the phone, I would make people cry or talk, a lot of times, general teenage stuff, crushes on boys, this, that, and the other. And somehow we'll get into a conversation about a parent and they'll start to cry. But even, if you were always on the phone or always have friends around, or they just gravitated to you, understand that you were a healer then and didn't even know it, So, yeah.
No, that's real. That's definitely real. I love it too. I love doing it, especially the people who like are dealing with tough things. And it's like when you don't have anybody, or you feel like you have nobody that can kind of help you or be a shoulder or what have you, when you can kind of give them that light and give them that jump. So I always like to use, back when I first started speaking, using like the jumper cable analogy. Like, so a battery, a car battery dies, all it needs is a jump. You put the spark plugs on there and you jump, and then boom, it's right back going. So it's like that's the thing I love to do with people, is like give them that jump, and so boom, keep going, keep it pushing.
I mean, it's necessary. Life is hard. Life is so hard, and you can lose yourself. Even healers need healing too. Healers lose themselves. Life is really hard, and it's only getting harder. So sometimes you just need that jumper cable. You need that jump. Heck, sometimes I need the jump.
Listen, I came and got mine Saturday. That way, hey, I needed that jump too, boy. I'm telling you, because it is hard, man. For real, it really is. And speaking of that jump, I recall, I don't know, what do you call it? Like, what do you call the part when you bring your clients back into their body, like after they done been out there time or astral traveling or whatever they've been doing, like during the session? What do you call that part? Like the wind down when you start bringing them back down? Grounding.
Grounding.
Okay.
Yeah.
Grounding. And then what do you call the post? Like the post? I don't know if it's like a reading or a message or whatever. Like the kind of like
after,
yeah.
Oh, after the session.
Mm-hmm. What do you call that part?
Oh, so after I ground you, what I do is I assess your energy, and then I read, some of the root stuff that's going on that could be causing any type of blockages, any type of vicious cycles, or any false sense of perceptions that you've had. Like what I'm doing is I assess the energy, and some healers, which is fine, they talk as they go along. But I can't talk because I'm so focused on the story, what's going on. And which is why, like, at the end of the session, we have a conversation as to my findings and what I pick up, or some of the things that they need to work on, or even if it's ancestral expression that's showing up in your energy field. Maybe you had a good life, you're having, everything's fine, but you still just have this blockage. And usually we inherit, kind of like we inherit like genetic stuff, whether it's everybody has high blood pressure, or everybody has, diabetes in the family, or everybody suffers from anxiety. Usually we get that environmental / emotional inheritance
trait.
of that.
Yep.
That trait. And it's on an emotional experience, and it all shows up in the energy field. And so, sometimes I mention, it'll come up whether it's an ancestor that started that process, and now it's been passed down to different lineages and stuff like that. And so the beauty about receiving energy healing is not only do you receive the recalibration and balance, but it's also retroactive to your ancestors, whether they're in this experience or in a different dimension. It becomes retroactive and proactive to any of your children. So in essence, it kind of cancels out, if you will,
Gotcha. No, that's dope. And I was thinking when you were saying that, like epigenetics, like it definitely is a real thing.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, genetics can flow physically and spiritually, because I feel like we definitely sometimes carry on the baggage and the trauma and things that our ancestors and multiple generations prior to us dealt with, and it's passed down, spiritually and energetically, as well as some of our physical genetics are passed down as well. So that's something that and you know what? I wish I had I can't remember what video it was, but I know Professor Smalls broke down how, like, literally mathematics, how to go back to the very first ancestors and how many generations it took for us to come, to be in the life that we're in now. It was a dope interview that I did with him, but it was dope how he broke it down and shared that, like, it took from, I forgot how many generations it was for people to get together, for us to be here today. But it was dope.
Yeah.
It was very powerful.
Wow.
Piece.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely have to look that up for sure. That sounds fascinating.
I'm gonna see if I can find that, because what I think about doing too is adding like a lot of the old interviews I had on my previous platforms and putting them on this one, just to have because it's still powerful content, powerful information, even though it's a little dated. But I mean, a couple years old, but it's still powerful information. That's timeless.
That's today.
Like
that still is.
Like
that's timeless.
Right. Yeah.
But that goes to like the shadow work that I had to do with the sacral chakra with all the women in my family. If you really look at the women in my family, they've never been married or had good, stable men. It actually, I'm the only one that stayed married, has a good, stable man. But, but it was the shadow work to kind of cancel all of that out, and to heal it, to heal it, to bring love into that. Into that vibrational expression. So, yeah.
So how often would you recommend a person come to get like a Reiki session or any type of like energy healing from a professional? How often do you think we should do that? Like maybe on a yearly basis? How many times do you think would be a good fair amount that you feel like would definitely keep your energy right for the most part throughout the year?
Well, generally speaking, it depends on your experience. Some people have gone, like I've worked with trafficked people. I've worked with people who experienced murders right in front of them. I've worked with people who were severely abused emotionally. Usually they require like, multiple, like 4 or 5, depending. If
Yeah.
you're pretty balanced and you just, but there's certain things that you have to, process, certain experiences. Usually it's like 2 or 3 sessions,
For you.
the energy is a lot easier if you've been doing the work, and then you come to an energy healer because it's not so tight in your auric expression. It tends to release a lot easier because you've been doing the work. It's almost like using WD-40,
Yeah.
you loosen it up, and then when I come in with the screw, it's just easy, to unscrew.
No, that's real. And I'm gonna use 2 other analogies. So that's like when you work out, like people who work out, when you work out consistently, yeah, you might get a little tight and a little stiff here and there, but not like if you miss a month or you miss 2-3 weeks and then you got to get back into that frame, you're gonna be struggling. Right. I know me, if I miss 2 weeks, boy, I'm like that 3rd week, I'm gonna be struggling, like because whatever body parts I didn't work that whole time, when I do work them, it's gonna be a struggle for the next few days until the body gets that muscle memory back. And then even people in the spiritual world, like people who are consistent, that do, that feed their ancestors on a regular basis, that's feeding Orishas, that spend time with them, when we tap in to do their work in terms of like addressing the oracles and all that, they, for the most part, don't have as much stuff that they need to do as a prescription versus people who might go months or years without doing the work with their ancestors or their Orishas, and then they come back to the oracle and they're like, yeah, well, we got to do this, to do this, to do this. You know what I'm saying? It's like a lot more work needs to be done to get you back in alignment. Pretty much, it's kind of like how I would think that it is kind of like the body, like the muscle. It's the spiritual muscle memory is the best way I think to kind of describe that. But as long as we stay consistent, so probably like 3 times a year for most people.
Yeah. And the thing about it is you're not supposed, generally speaking, you're not supposed to be seeing a healer forever, because that means we're not doing our job, to get you back in alignment, to get you back on track. So it's usually enough to get you back on track, but then you're responsible for maintaining. So it's almost like, you're not meant, I guess you got to see a dentist, but I'll just use the dental analogy. Like a dentist is there for the deep cleaning, but you're responsible for brushing your teeth every day. But in this case, we're here to get you back on alignment. And then you're able to do the rest on your own. What you can do is come back to a healer for, just to touch up, pretty much. So like, if you've been doing the work, like, once or twice a year, like I fast twice a year. I do a deep detox. That's what I do, whether or not I need it. So maybe like twice a year, to do a vibrational detox, as a healer, I try to get it done every 2 or 3 months, so, but yeah, it depends on your lifestyle, definitely it depends on your lifestyle. If you live a very busy, like scattered lifestyle, then probably you need to find time to do it more often.
Like me. Yep, I get it. What about like what would you say is like the recommended age range, like for like young people, for the youth? Like what age would be a good age you think that young people should probably start doing it?
Infants.
Oh wow.
I've done colicky babies. Wow. Yeah. Infants to the elders, the eldest of the elders. Absolutely. There's no, even animals, I have, nobody's brought an animal to me, but I do work on my cat. And when my dog was, in this dimension, I worked on her plenty of times. So animals benefit from it big time.
Look, I might have to schedule my eyes with one, because he definitely he's a different dude, man. He definitely he's a Cancer, and he shows it. He shows that
he's emotional.
Yes, he is. It's funny too. It's funny, but it's not funny, but it is funny. But yeah, he is definitely, and I think he's Eshu too, because as much as he's emotional, he turns it up. He'll turn up at the drop of a dime and be riled up and acting a fool. So he is like the creme de la creme of the 2 opposite sides of the spectrum, because he can be all the way on one side 1 second, and the next second he all the way on the other side. So he's a different guy. That's what's up.
Aww.
About to bring the children over there too. Shoot, get them some work to make sure.
Yeah, I've worked on a colicky baby with huge results. People don't realize, but your birthing experience will affect you as an adult. So if you were, born too early, like if they had to induce you, that can have a vibrational impact. If you were, pulled with what do you call those plier thingies? I don't know what they call. Huh?
I can't remember. Is it a spectrum? Is that what they call it?
I forgot. They pull the head, it's like a little,
it's like a clamp. I got
you. Some kind of clamp that will leave a vibrational print.
Wow.
It'll cause a trigger, in the future. If, NICU, like, if like you were a baby and they say, and say, your parents like quiet, and you become startled, that's going to leave an imprint. You can have the best life, but then it's that little seed that happened that will be triggered. Like you get like frazzled as an adult when somebody, raises their voice, or talks too loud. I've had so many people, like, that's one of the things that I can detect from your auric field is your gestational period. If your parent was pregnant with you, going through stress or working too much, I can detect that because it still trickles down to you as an infant. So I always say if parents were only knew to just try to stay grounded during pregnancy and then post-birth, do your best to create like a very nurturing environment. That is so important. Another thing that I found out, which was very interesting with a client, my client was never breastfed. I wasn't either, because I was born out of a C-section in the 70s. They would put the mother to sleep and then do the C-section. They weren't awake. So there was a couple of things with that I understood with myself that I learned from a client. See, my clients teach me too. And so absolutely. My client was never breastfed. Normally, when a baby is born, you're supposed to immediately go to the chest, right? And so what happens is that when the child, when that doesn't happen to the child, it can create, I'm not saying this, but what I realized between my client and not going straight to the boob, is the codependency, feeling like if I don't have the person around me, I would never be nurtured. It's like missing that thing, that nurturing aspect of things. I hope I'm explaining this right, but it's so important, because when a baby is born, the first chakra to develop is the root chakra, because now you're getting rooted into the physical body. And, once you're rooted into the physical body, there's still that crown, right? Remember, the top of the head is the softest part. That's the doorway. But also we come from the universal energy that's filled with love. And so when we incarnate into physical being and we don't immediately go to a familiar energy, right? We get rushed into, for them to cut the cord and, do all the things, but not going to the mom first for a couple of seconds. It does cause a huge, it is a type of trauma.
Wow. So. That makes perfect sense too, because if you think about it, as you were saying, that's pretty much because they're not immediately being nurtured, and not being cultivated. So it's kind of like how they do with chickens and eggs, where they keep them in the incubator, for them to get warm. So, that's exactly what that seems like. Wow, that's deep. That's real deep. That's what's up. So with all the things that's going on, and we definitely hit a lot last week on the episode. I wanted to see because this is something that I didn't get from a listener or someone who gave feedback directly, but it's something that kind of just from my experience and the multiple experiences I've had over the last week and a half since we did that interview. What are some of the things that people can do in terms of energy healing or shadow work or even like meditation work to help when they're dealing with stress, like financial difficulties? Like I'm seeing there's a lot of people who, a lot of jobs are being pulled away, a lot of the slowing down for some entrepreneurs. Like it's just a lot of things going on. And of course, the dollars drop, the value is dropping, but the prices of everything is going up. You buy a bag of chips, you got about 25-30% of the bag of actual chips in there, but the price then went up twice as much as it was. So like it's creating a whole lot of stress and a whole lot of anxiety for people. What are some exercises or some tips that you can kind of share with the listeners that can kind of help, not just with the anxiety or the stress, but also to help to maybe transmute or transform that energy and redirect it into something that can be enlightening or empowering, or something that can be used with positive energy and vibes and intention to work with that energy to help versus to hurt?
Well, things are only going to get a little batshit crazy, more batshit crazy, a lot, and you're seeing it. It's growing, growing, growing. And again, challenges are master teachers. We are forced to go within. I'm going to try to explain this, because my brain is like mush right now. But we are, with everything that's going on, we are forced to go within. Again, your spirit is detached from you. When you have anxiety and fears, that is an indicator. That's a master teachership moment where you're recognizing I am detached from self. So how can I explain this? And spirit will help me explain this. So whenever there's a loss, whether it's a financial loss, whether business is slow, which I can, there's a lot of people that are afraid my business slow down, when there's anything that is causing imbalance in your life, this is the perfect opportunity to work your magic. Working your magic it comes from trust. Yeah, I know you're like, what? How do I do that? Practice. When the mind starts, going off on it, because the thing about it is, it's all about our environment. We were trained to worry, we were trained, to worry. We were trained to make sure we have our shit together, pretty much. But sometimes it's beyond our control. And so, one of the things that we have to do is unlearn that, deprogram it, and learn trust. Because we are the divine spark of all that is. You understand? So everything on the outside, money is even energy. Everything is energy. And as I say this to you, I say this to myself as well. I'm speaking to me as well, because everything is energy. So when you recognize the magician that exists within you, the Eshu that exists within you, right? When you recognize that, then you can manifest it. You get out of your own way. And you invite, that which you wish, whether it is, work, whether it's money. Because the thing about it is, worry stagnates energy, the energy of manifestation. It creates stagnation because it's like a ripple effect, right? So when you're stressed, as a good example, imagine you going like this. You can't breathe when you're doing this. You can't breathe freely.
Tense and tight.
Right. Because first of all, when we're stressed, we have shallow breathing. We don't breathe deeply and fully, right? So imagine what you're doing to your energy bodies and your ability to tap into the universal energy of manifestation to help, allow it to fill whatever it is that you need. So it's a practice, but basically it's learning to trust. That everything is going to work in divine order, to stay in alignment. Staying in alignment allows the manifestation process to happen. So how do you do that? Definitely express what you're feeling, move that energy. We're still human at the end of the day. So that's where you turn to journalizing and writing your worries, what you're worried about. But on the flip side, what are you grateful for? Even if you got to write 3 things that you're grateful for, gratitude loosens up any tight energy that exists from anxieties and fears. So write what you're grateful for. And even if it's not writing, if you wake up first thing in the morning and just say, I am thankful for this, I am thankful for that, and then feel it, right? Because, thought processes and feelings must match. That's the law of attraction. Because you can easily say, I see myself, making $1 million, but do you honestly feel like you're going to make $1 million?
Right.
So it's like the subconscious and the conscious must match. So that requires work, and that could be a daily meditation for you. So when you're going through that loss, that is the perfect time to really to really recognize the magic that actually exists within you, your ability to make shit happen, to manifest things, and it takes time equally to believe it.
Right.
you know. So, but one of my favorite authors about this subject, and your viewers might be familiar with him or he may not be. His name is Dr. Joe Dispenza.
I've never
Dr.
heard of
Joe Dispenza. He is a chiropractor. He's a doctor, and he's also a chiropractor. But long story short, he basically broke his back, and he was completely um, paralyzed. And through thought, and it took him about a good year or so, but through thought, changing his thinking and all of these things, he was able to, walk again when doctors said he couldn't walk again. And, all these things. He's just a normal person, and now he teaches it. Another person is, his name is R.J. Spina, S-P-I-N-A, and Dispenza is D-I-S-P-E-Z-A. I hope I spelled, Joe Dispenza.
That sounds right.
Yeah. And so they talk about exactly that, and, I've attended, the workshops, and it's so worth it because right then and there you recognize your power, and then you realize what you have manifested, and you didn't even realize you manifested that.
Right.
So using that type of knowledge, if you study like Joe Dispenza or RJ Spina, if you study people like that, and you utilize it during your most challenging periods, you work with some of their meditations and stuff like that. You will recognize your magic and how safe you really are and your ability to manifest, and, it's not to say you don't, you're not human, and, you're not supposed to feel these things. You're supposed to feel these things. But then remember who you really are. You are the divine spark of all that is. You have the ability to manifest whatever you want. And yes, it's easier said than done, but like working out, it requires consistency and exercise. Just like working out, when you need to develop that muscle, you start with the light weights and it's too heavy and you work with the more and more, you realize your muscle starts to adapt. Well, we have a vibrational muscle, a mental muscle that we have to work on. So you have to be consistent with it. Allowing your moments of frustration, yes, because, recognizing those moments of frustration is a form of processing. But continue to stay in alignment and manifest. Even if you're about to lose your place. Like I remember, and I'll share this story really quick. During the real estate downfall in 2008, I was an esthetician and my husband was a limo driver, and he ended up losing his job as a limo driver. And, people who want facials and waxing, they want to eat first and feed their family. So they're not going to come see me. And so, long story short, we ended up losing our house. I think it was every single house in our community where we lived was in foreclosure. And everybody was competing with short sales, and neither happened. Anyway, long story short, somebody out of an auction from the bank bought our property and wanted us out. They didn't care. They wanted us out. We had 7 days to vacate the property. Wow. And, at the time we had a pit bull, we had a dog, and every place we were looking for would not accept our dog. And of course, our dog was our baby. Like you take us as a family.
I know that's right.
Yeah. And so narrowing it down to fourth day, I was doing the Ganesh mantra, the Om Gam Ganapataye Namaha, which is Eshu, doing the mantra. So Ganesh is in charge of removing obstacles and opening up the path. And so then all of a sudden, a friend of mine, I ran into her. We were having a conversation, and I was telling her what was going on. And she says, let me get back to you. I think I have a solution for you. Down to 2 days to get out before we were about to be homeless, right? She says, I got an opportunity for you to rent a house, but in exchange, you're going to fix up the house and we'll reduce the rent for you, because the people that they evicted messed up the house. They got upset that they were getting evicted and they tore it up. And so for living in a beautiful Gulf community, renting the house, which is, by the way, where I started my Reiki practice. Okay. We fixed up the house and we only paid $850 a month in a beautiful Gulf community. We were able to move out of there. You know, we borrowed a friend's pickup truck because we couldn't afford a moving truck. We used our car and we moved out. And that was because I believed something's got to give, because damn it, I'm a good fucking person.
I know that is facts. No, that's real though. Like, that is so real, because I've seen it and experienced it myself multiple times, and one of them was literally the total opposite of yours, but it was the same exact, I feel like, vibrational frequency. It was me buying my first home in 07, which I was affected by that thing too, because it threw off my real estate investment career. But I remember, like, when I went for the visit or to go see the home, I went and saw like maybe 3 or 4 other homes, but I think we went to that one first. And I told the realtor, like, bro, why you bring me to this one for? I don't want to go see none of the other ones on your list. Like, I want this one. He's like, yeah, but, you know, we don't know if we'll get the offer that I asked. But, bro, I don't want nothing else. But we went anyway. He talked me into like 2 more. But after the second one, after that, I was like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to focus on this one. And this is what I want. And this is, if it don't work out, then it wasn't meant for me to buy right now. But what I would do, I would go to work every day before I left to go to work. I would look at the flyer that they had with the home, with the, you know, all the specs on the home. I would look at it, I'm like, this is my house. I would literally in my mind's eye, I would chant to myself affirmation, this is my house, this is my house, I'm gonna get this house. That part. Yeah, I was like 27. I didn't know how it was gonna happen, but I believed it. I'm like, look, I'm getting this house. I didn't, and long story short, I put in the offer, they accepted it, and I was like, yo, that was the first time I saw how powerful intentional thinking and affirmations can really be, because in hindsight, looking at it, even in that climate, I wasn't sure that it wasn't just, you know, so I feel like the ancestors or, you know, the gods had something to do with it too. But at the same time, I feel like they were willing to help me because they knew how bad I wanted it, and I was doing the work to get it. You know what I mean? Like, I was literally not just working my job, but also coming home and like meditating on it, like affirming, like, this is mine, this is mine. And it happened. So it's a real thing. That is real.
It is. And it's the perfect opportunity to really recognize how fully, fully supported you are and how magical you are. You know, and the thing about it is, society is trying to take away that magic. They are trying to control you, but you have the ultimate, decision. You know, you can control your outcome, not them. And that's across the board, whether it's work or money, whether it's health, you have control of that. They don't. And it's even going to be more louder. Okay. That control is that volume of control is going to increase. So now is the time to recognize who you really are, to go within, turn into your inner universe.
That's fast, especially in America.
Go within. Yes. And it's around the world, because even the UK has gone batshit, you know, and I think that they're projecting a lot of the angers, everybody, everywhere.
Yep. Because those two, they like sisters anyways, like with the foolishness they got going on. But yeah, I can see that. But yeah, no, that's real. And with that, this is something that I spoke about on another episode, but I don't remember if I actually shared it. But because we're speaking about intentions and we're speaking about healing and all that, if you don't mind, I want to share this prayer real quick before I go into what we were talking about with the intentions, and then especially leading up to the ultimate, I would say, like the meat and potatoes of the conversation is about, which is coming up. But this is a prayer that I use every single morning when I wake up. It's an Ori prayer. And so with this prayer, it goes, Ori, I honor you and give thanks. It is you who are with me through every aspect of my life. My Ori is a good Ori. Good Ori is the direct link to Olorun. Good Ori is Olorun's essence within me. Good Ori is open to receive the blessings that Olorun sends to me. Good Ori is my Ori. Good Ori is open to the wisdom of Ifa. Good Ori is open to the guidance of the ancestors. Good Ori is open to the guidance of Orunmila. Good Ori welcomes assistance from Orisha. Good Ori welcomes assistance from and embraces the Egungun. Good Ori welcomes and embraces the Egungun and assistance from the Egungun. Good Ori is my Ori. Ori, I always ask you keep my doors open. I always ask you bring me blessings. I always ask that you get me through difficult times. Ori, I ask that you celebrate the good times with me. Ori, I embrace you because you always embrace me. Ashe, ashe, ashe-o. And like I'll share the actual written
share
part of the
this. Yes.
prayer into the show description as
that
well.
is so powerful. And you know what? That co-creates your day.
Yep.
You know, not only does it create your day, but it creates protection and it creates synchronicity.
Mm-hmm. Yep. With the ancestors, Ifa, the Orisha, all of it. Yeah. It's a powerful prayer. I say it every single morning when I wake up. Like that's one of the prayers I say, but that one is something I feel like really falls in alignment with what we're speaking about today in terms of intention and healing and all those different elements of this conversation. So I'll definitely share that in the show description with the listeners to copy and paste it out of there. Matter of fact, I might even make a PDF for people to download off the channel.
Yes, please. Definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yes, ma'am. So with that, we have a very special day coming up. The date, is in terms of like numerology and synchronism and creation, intention, and all these different things we kind of been speaking about for the whole entire show, which is the 8/8, which is August 8th, is 2 days from now on Thursday. And I've been seeing a lot of different things online about it, but I also know that you are someone who actually is working on something with that. But 8/8 is the Lionsgate portal, and it's a cosmic alignment marked with the conjunction of the star Sirius with the sun and the earth. This alignment creates a surge of potent spiritual energy that opens a portal for heightened awareness, spiritual growth, and manifestation. It's an auspicious time for deep introspection, releasing old patterns, and setting intentions for the future. So this is something that I received from you, and I appreciate you for sharing it because I definitely look forward to taking advantage of this portal opening. So can you kind of share with the people more in depth and more, in detail about what all this is about with this planetary alignment, as well as with the numerology aspects of it with the eights, and then, how we can use this for, heightened awareness, spiritual growth and manifestation?
Well, this particular Lionsgate portal is even more auspicious because we're in the year 2024. And so 2024, when you reduce it down to a single digit, is an 8. So the Lionsgate portal this year is 888. And so what it does, I would say it's a triple threat in a good way. It further amplifies, the ability for you to do the shadow work. Now is a really good time to do that shadow work, to release, to let go, right? To actually take off that weight of that heavy cloth that that is like that is overheating you, right? And it allows you to intent what it is that you are ready and embracing to invite into your experience. And so it's a good time to do magic. When people work with the Lionsgate portal energy or medicine, I like to call it the Lionsgate medicine. They use it to heal, but they use it to also manifest. And so this year, what I'm personally doing is I'm helping to facilitate that manifestation, that healing process of release, and the manifestation process of receiving. And so in my, there's going to be a lot of workshops. So if you're not here, locally, or if you hear, I always believe that people should go with their heart as to, what workshops to go to. Definitely, why not attend, a meditation or a workshop that celebrates the Lionsgate portal, because you're with a community of like-minded people. And so when all of you people, even if you're alone, but sometimes it works wonders, when you're together, you amplify the energy of not only healing Earth, but also healing yourselves, because as you heal yourselves, you are healing the collective. Remember, we're within the same universal energy. And so, when you're healing yourself, you're healing the collective. And so what I'm personally doing is not only explaining the power of the Lionsgate portal, but I put you through a visualization meditation. And so with the visualization meditation, I'm guiding you to release. And then I'm also guiding you to utilize the star Sirius and, you know, the whole vibrational alignment to manifest. And so as I'm doing that guided meditation, part of it is also to help the planet as well. I've incorporated, you know, a guided visualization for you to visualize Earth, you know, like a lot of pink light to heal, because everywhere it's disruptive right now.
Right.
And so after, you know, I do the meditation, I proceed on to play sound, my sound bowls or various sounds. Now, the only thing is, you know, unfortunately, the place that I normally do my sound healing, because of the storm, something happened with the roof, and now their entire place is flooded. And so I'm going to be doing this online. Now, even if I'm doing this online, it's still powerful because energy travels through time and space. And so with me playing sound healing, and I'm also projecting Reiki healing, so I'll be doing distance Reiki healing as well. So between the two, it's going to help facilitate any release, anything that you need to heal within your auric field or inside your body, because energy can be trapped and blocked within the body, but also open up that guidance to receive, to basically unblock you so that way you can receive. So I'll be doing the distance Reiki healing and then the sound healing. And then of course we'll be sharing experiences.
Yeah, so that's what's up. So it sounds like a very powerful experience, and I know, you know, based off of not just the Reiki sessions, the personal sessions I've had with you, have every single one of them has been powerful, but also I believe, I don't know if it was your last one, but I know one of the last few sound healing sessions that you had, you know, we were able to make it out and support in person as well, and I even got something out of that, you know, as well. Like, it's always something that I feel like is a benefit whenever I do any type of work with you in terms of healing or energy or sound, whatever the case may be, as well as the other people who were there as well. So with this one, even though it's going to be virtual, I know you're still able to deliver the same experience, you know, for the people. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, what can people
change? It doesn't change. I mean, you know, most people love in person because of the bowls, you know, they feel the frequency of the bowls. But believe it or not, you can feel that same exact frequency. And some people don't realize how powerful, like, you can hear the sound, yes, but you still feel the same, you know, as though you were there in person. I just like to do in person because to me, it's a lot more personable, you know, and, you know, it's nice to be with a community. So.
Yeah, I get it. And I'm the same way. Certain things I like to do in person, other things I'm cool doing it like this, you know, because sometimes, especially like with coaching and consulting and things, it makes it a lot easier for me to have calls with clients, right? Just like this, because that way I don't have to leave. I don't have to be stuck in traffic. I don't have to put gas in the car. Like, I can just still handle the business right here and then, you know, and be productive. But at the same time, especially for something like that, it is different to have that experience in person because you do get to feel the vibes, you know, up close and personal. It's a lot more intimate. So I can see it both ways for sure. I definitely see how a lot of people would probably prefer the in person, especially with something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, then the day we're gonna make it happen though. Mercury Retrograde ain't gonna slow down, stopping the portal. I
tell you.
Do that.
And Debbie was only a tropical storm, but she did the most. She did the most.
And it's crazy because what's really crazy about it, and I know, and I'm gonna follow up with him today. Mercury Retrograde was definitely retrograde. And my homie, I got a homeboy that I met in Chicago last year. Shout out to my boy. I don't call his name out, but just for the sake of, he know who he is. We chop it up all the time, and he had free tickets to the Forbidden Knowledge Consciousness Awards, and it was like, he was like, yo, you want to come? I'm like, I got an extra ticket. I was like, bro, I'm there. He had let me know, I think last weekend, and then when it got closer to the time, I saw the storm. I was hot. I'm like, man, listen. I told her, like, bro, I ain't gonna make it, bro. I said, people can't drive down here with clear sunny skies. I said, we got a doggone whole tropical storm, category 1 coming. I was like, bro, I ain't gonna be able to make it, man, because I ain't. And then I saw the flooding in Sarasota and all that. I'm like, yeah, I definitely, you know, made a decision because I really wanted to go, but I couldn't be dealing with that road out there. It was too crazy.
Oh yeah,
That's what's up. That's what's up. So yeah, I'll definitely I'll share with the people or with the listeners and the audience the information for the Lionsgate portal. So I'll put that in the
Thank
description. So
you.
if anybody wants to tap in and tune in and be a part of this powerful sonic retreat, we'll definitely make sure that we put it out there for people who may be interested in tapping in. I'm pretty sure I will. As long as nothing comes up to keep me from that, I'll be tapping in as well. But yeah, that's dope though. I'm looking forward to it for sure.
And it's no cost, but if you want to give a love offering, you can do that. Originally I was charging because the proceeds was going to go, a portion of the proceeds was going to go towards the organization that works with children.
Gotcha.
But this time I'm doing it online, and I felt like I needed for people to decide if they want to give or if they can't, which is it's
Gotcha.
equally just as fine.
Gotcha. That's what's up. And so what time are you planning on starting on Thursday?
It's going to be 6:30, beginning promptly at 6:45. So I'm giving people a 15-minute window.
Gotcha. Okay. That's what's up. So I'm going to put that on there real quick too. And that's going to be 8 at 6:30?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Which equals 9, but that's okay.
I got you. Hey, but 8 and 9 go together too,
Right.
Share a quick story about how they go together. Kind of, excuse me, more so from like the Orisha aspects of it. But the 8, when you first told me about when I first got the email, it was I was like, yo, that's dope, because 8 is a very powerful number. Like you said, it's the infinity number. It's the number of completeness. It's got a lot of different symbolism, especially when you're talking about with spirit. But even in the Isheshe and the Orisha tradition, 8 is the number attributed to my papa, which is Baba Obatala. So, that in itself, I think it really speaks to the power of what you're saying that all of this is about. When you're talking about dealing with the healing, when you're talking about dealing with the potential of spiritual energy and opening the portal to heightened awareness and spiritual growth and manifestation, like all these things, those are all attributed to Obatala, being the creator, being the molder of life, being the person, the deity of peace and serenity and creation and manifestation. Like all those are all tied to the powerful, all powerful deity of Obatala, and it's like, you talk about even with the 9, with the 6:30, the 6 plus the 3 going up, that's Oya, and Oya is the goddess of change, the goddess of the winds, the goddess of transformation, rebirth. That's rebirth. So it's like there's a lot of synchronicity and symbolism with even just the numbers, and then when you add the deities, this is very powerful.
Absolutely. And 8, also there's the 8th chakra. So the 8th chakra, which is above the 7 chakras crown, but the 8th chakra is the chakra of the Akashic records. So, and I was just shared this, they just shared this with me. They, meaning my spirit guides, just shared this with me. So when you do the meditation, you're tapping into the Akashic records, the ability to, not absorb, to basically oh my goodness, my words, but to kind of manifest or bring into whatever your potential that exists. So to tap into that divinity, that Akashic record, whatever that's in there, that's to help you be in alignment with your life. That when you work with the Lionsgate portal meditation, it allows you to be in alignment with that, whatever that is, that's supposed to keep you in alignment, in terms of clarity, focus, because that's where a lot of the answers are. Most people, they meditate to connect to the Akashic records so they can know, what am I supposed to do? I think that day is an auspicious day to really, receive answers, much needed answers. Especially, if you don't know what to do, like, that there's something else you're supposed to do, but you don't know what that thing is. And so that is a very auspicious day to really connect to that energy, that Akashic records, to really know, your strengths, where you should go towards.
Yeah. And you know what? You're giving me, like, I'm receiving a few downloads myself while you're saying that, because I'm thinking, when you talk about the 8 and the 9, you're talking about Batala and Oya, synchronism with those two. And then you're talking about, with Baba Obatala being the God of creation, Ori, clarity, peace, all those different things. And then when you talk about Oya with the transformation, the death, the rebirth, and then, the change of the winds and all these different
which
aspects.
is number 9.
Right, which is number 9.
Endings
and
and
then
beginnings, yeah.
And when you're talking about the Akashic records, to me, for those who aren't very familiar with it, the best way I would be able to describe that is it's pretty much like the family tree of the universe, right? Is that like a good interpretation? Because it's a universal,
It's the universal, but it's also like a vibrational records kept of anything and everything you ever done, continue to do and will ever continue to do in the present time and will ever do or ever say. So anything you've ever done, ever said, everything, in terms of all your lives,
Past, present,
and
future.
with
That's
free
powerful.
will, it can alter the Akashic records through free will. So to be clear, imagine the story, just the letters of the story, your book, your own personal book, changing as you change your expression. The beauty about the Akashic records is that when people tap into it, I know we're always going off in a tangent, so I apologize, but when people when people tap into,
I said, this is what the people are here for. Like, I mean, I'm
right.
learning. Just like you learn from your clients, I learn from every guest that's ever been on the show, and the people who tap in and share comments, and so we all here as a tribe, man. So we good.
That's true.
People,
that's true.
We want it. I'm here for it.
But a lot of people meditate to connect to the Akashic records to get clarity, especially if it comes to their path, or as to why, certain things happen, consistently in their life. So, with the 888, the 888 portals, that is a very an amazing time, a perfect time to really, get into a meditation process to connect to the Akashic records. Now, granted, by just meditating and, by just meditating with that intention of, I want to release, but at the same time, I want to learn what it is that, where my life is leading towards, or why something consistently happens. And you meditate with that intention, you're automatically connecting to the Akashic records. So doing it during the Lionsgate portal, I feel like it acts as a magnifying glass, like a lens that just really expands that knowledge very quickly, very clearly.
That's dope.
So, yeah,
I love it. That's dope. That reminds me of speaking of clarity. That there was another I think one last topic that I wanted to get into, and that was when you bring your clients back from the grounding, or I should say during the grounding aspect of the healing session, and then you give the message that you receive in the process of that. Like, I'll never forget the first time that you did it, and it amazed me. I don't know if you spoke about it on the last one, or we spoke about it on the last one or not, but I remember that the first time I think I had that experience, I remember coming back into, being grounded and like coming back from the meditative state where I saw like an ocean. And I remember like the ocean, I think in the ocean, like deep off in the ocean, there was like a I don't know if it was gold. I can't remember what color it was, but it was like a treasure chest, and it was like floating on the water in the ocean. And it was just crazy because I remember, I don't know, I think you asked me, what did I see when I came back? I don't know if you asked me first or you told me what you saw, but either way it goes, you were able to see the exact same thing that I saw, and it blew my mind. I'm like, yo, this is nuts. Like, it really, like, so can you kind of share before I go into the last thing that I had? Can you share, like, how does that work for you? Like, when you're doing that with your client, like, do you see that with your mind's eye, or are you actually in this space in your spirit? Like, how do you even like determine or decipher what you're seeing through somebody else's vision when you're doing that? That's dope.
It's very interesting because, it's what I see. Now, I don't see it during the session. During the session, my intent and focus is getting to the root cause of whatever that the blockage is going on. But when there's a part in the session where I'm kind of closing your energy and sealing it, it's during that time I start to get more, like a wave of more information, including visions. And that's the time where I'm like, okay, I recognize what that is. And then, once you're grounded and you come out of your vibrational bliss, right?
Yes, sir.
It's when I share with you what I see, and then you share with me your experience, and then any, questions and answers, of course. But I see it with my third eye, during the grounding process. So not only do I get the story, in terms of what's going on, vibrationally speaking and physically, but I also see, like, some of your visions, but what they could possibly mean, because remember, sometimes visions are very symbolic.
Oh, yeah.
And
Absolutely.
so sometimes I can translate the symbolisms of those visions. And sometimes I just believe in Google, because I don't know right then and there, but we do have a conversation. But yes, I am able to feel, discern. Sometimes I feel things physically, so, and it's very interesting because when people are literally out of their body, like, my eyes are closed, everything turns white. So it almost looks like when your eyes are closed and, like, say you're in a dark room and somebody sheds like a flashlight with your eyes closed, I see this white light with my eyes closed, and then I feel this amazing bliss over my body. And so that tells me that they've, they're astral projecting maybe, or they're just not there physically. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a beautiful feeling.
I can imagine. Hell, that's how it was when I was astral traveling. Like, it was dope. Like, it really was. Like, and I can't even imagine that feeling, because your experience is different than, I believe, or I know it's different from mine until the end, the last part you were saying. Because for me, like, when I'm out there, it's usually black, and I'm traveling like in a super high rate of speed throughout the universe. And I see, like, stars and planets and all kinds of stuff just, whizzing by, like, just unbelievable speed, but there's also different things that I see in different times and how things happen and unfold as well. But I do know, I feel like for me personally, it's like I'm always in the universe somewhere, like always in the skies of the constellation. I don't know what part of the galaxy or the universe I'm in, but I'd be in the universal streets.
Now share with the collective who you met.
Yeah, and what's funny, I was gonna share, because as you were saying the Lionsgate portal, and then you were mentioning the alignment, or I should say from the message I got from you about that and the alignment, you spoke about Sirius aligning with the sun and the earth. And for those the listeners who are into the Kemetic sciences or who've studied ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt, this is powerful, because this is the second major one that we've had this year. We had the summer solstice that just passed on June 16th, where the summer solstice that took place with the summer equinox, where the lights and the sun, all that kind of was in alignment over the pyramids and Kemet. But now with this Lionsgate portal, that's another thing, because I'm, depending on how deep people go with it. But when you talk about the pyramids, you're also talking about astrological alignment, because the Great Three Pyramids alone are astronomically aligned with Alnitak, Alnilam, and Mintaka. Those three major stars all align and sit right on top of the top of the three pyramids. But then also, what is another alignment with those is you have the star of Sirius, which is the brightest star in the sky that we can see from the planet Earth by far, not even close. Right. And then Sirius is aligned with the pyramids as well. And Sirius also is the thing that makes the three stars over the pyramids align to create Orion's belt. So now we're talking about a very, very powerful set of heavenly bodies that are all in alignment with the sun and the planet. So this is a very powerful, portal. Like, it really is. It's deep. It's really deep. And that just hit me kind of like towards when we were about to wrap up. But yeah, the last one that I had, it was deep. It was really deep. I'm not sure which order to share, but I think I'll just share it in the order of how it happened, just for the sake of the listeners getting it the way you got it. But so throughout that ceremony, or I should say through that session Saturday, I recall traveling again, and I recall being, you know, deep into wherever I was. But this one was a little different because it wasn't all just like astral traveling or astral projection. This one, I felt as if I had a guide on this projection, or a guide, or I don't know who it was or what it was, but somebody or something was with me on this trip and this travel into interspace or interstellar space, whatever we want to call it. And throughout that, I recall seeing a lot of different figures. I remember seeing like different humanoids, different human type figures. I remember seeing the face of I wish I'd have looked it up, but the face of like a white owl. There's a specific owl that has like a white face, and it's kind of like their face is like two circles, almost similar to like some of the African masks that we see. But yeah, those beautiful owls, very beautiful. But I remember seeing.
I think I know the type of owl that you're talking about too.
I think they might be snow owls.
They're
too.
very
They might be
rare.
They're beautiful though. The face is white, and I think they got like some black on them in different colors, but they're gorgeous. But I remember seeing that the face of that owl, and I can't recall if it was actually like the owl was just an owl, or if that owl head was like on a humanoid body. Because you know, in ancient Kemet and some of the Sumerian like monuments and tablets and structures, you see people that have the head of a bird or a bird-like figure within a humanoid body. So I can't recall if it had that going on, if it was just the head. That part I don't remember vividly. But what I do remember vividly is that I was in what to me appeared to be like a huge boardroom. And it wasn't like a regular boardroom, but that's the best way I could describe it. But it was like a huge boardroom. And going into that room, whoever was with me or whoever was guiding me or brought me into this space, to me, I mean, hindsight looking back now, it's almost, to paraphrase, I felt like maybe I might have got beamed onto a craft or some sort of ship or something. I don't know. But anyways, in this facility or this environment, whatever it was, I recall being in a room. And in this room, it was huge, but it was like a boardroom. And in this room, I just recall seeing some very, 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 very powerful figures in there. And the reason why I say they were powerful, because I felt like not just anybody's going to be in this room, and not just anybody's who were in the room, but I feel like the beings that were in the room were the somebodies of the somebodies that was in this room. And it was powerful. And then they had on like white robes, almost like gowns. They were all white, and they went all the way to the floor. And then they were different, I feel like different races. I saw most of them, I recall were black, but I saw some of like multiple colors. And then I saw the ones that stood out to me the most there was two, and they were like brothers. And one of them had locks, like long locks. I don't know how long, probably like maybe to mid chest, but he also had locks on his beard. His beard were like locks as well. Like, that's dope. And I've seen beings like this before in different books and different, places in the world, in terms of like the Sumeria. I think, I can't remember his name. I don't know if it's Enlil. I don't know. One of the guys back from the Anunnaki saga and ancient Sumerian texts, but or their structures as well. But I remember somebody looked similar to that. Then I remember seeing some that had like regular black hair that was like froed out, and some had regular straight hair that was kind of like down their back. But they all had on these white robes, and they were all at this like conference table in this real big conference room. And whatever they were doing or talking about, they meant business. And I felt like it was geared towards the planet Earth. And so the best way that I try to describe it to you when I came back is like they pretty much was having a meeting of the masters, or like the Galactical Council per se, or Universal Council per se, to, I guess, figure out what are we going to do with these preschoolers down here on this planet, because they're trying to do whatever they can to ratchet and just, for lack of better words, fuck shit up. And so it was just like, that's what I saw. And it was powerful. It was a very powerful experience, because the best way that I can kind of paint the picture to where people can really truly relate would be if you saw like the movie 2012, or like Olympus Has Fallen. Any one of those movies where like the government has to kind of try to save the world from extraterrestrials and all that, but you see how they have like the president, the vice president, the prime minister, the secretary. So you have all these big, generals, all the top tier, I guess, leaders of the government will all be in these rooms. And I guess paraphrasing, it'd be like the CENTCOM or Pentagon, what have you. But that's what I saw in the vision. and they were very, very highly evolved beings. They didn't communicate verbally. Everything was being communicated through telepathy. But I know for a fact that they were all on the same page and same frequency with the communication that they were conveying. I personally can't recall what was being communicated through telepathy, but I know I sensed and felt that this is a very, very powerful room. These are some very, very powerful beings, and there's some very, very powerful shit going on in here. Excuse my French, but that's what it was, and that's how
There's
I
been
felt.
a lot of Frenches in this episode.
Hey, look, we gotta keep it raw, keep it real, man. The people know what it is. So, but yeah, it was powerful. And then what I was telling you is that in hindsight, I recall back in, I want to say 2012. I'm not 100% sure, but for some reason I'm thinking it was around 2012. I recall I had one of the most vivid dreams that I've ever had in my life, and that dream was so vivid and so clear and so profound, I'll never forget it for the rest of my days. And the dream was, and in the dream, even I was living in South Tampa, which that's where I grew up at. And I remember like the world kind of like crashing. Like, it was almost like the end of the world, like Armageddon type stuff going on. And it was nuts because it was like literally like, this is it. This is the end. Like, because it was all kind of stuff. And I recall in that dream, I think it was the superpowers, quote unquote, were trying to start World War III and let off nukes and all that. But then as catastrophe and chaos and all this stuff was going down, I'll never forget, we had visitors and we had extraterrestrial, we had crafts that showed up and showed out all over the globe. They literally shut shit down. Like, I mean, shut it down, like shut everything down, neutralize the threat, like shut everything down. And they restored order to the planet. Like, they literally shut all the foolishness, the chaos, the so-called leaders, the people who were like running amok, you know, doing all the damage and the oppression and all these different things that's happening on the planet.
Like now. They call it doing the most fuck shit.
And listen, and that's exactly what it was. And when I tell you that they came in and shut the fuck shit down, they shut it down. Like, I mean, it was so dope because I'm just like, yo, this is crazy. But I'll never forget it because it was crystal clear. And I've only shared that story, that dream, maybe like one or two people in my life, but it was just so real and so vivid that I'll know. It was like a 4K TV back in 2012. I know they didn't have them then. I think we had, like, I don't know what K it was. We had HD, but it was 4K, or even, I don't know what the next ones are, 6K, 8K, whatever. But it was like that clear. I was amazed by it. I'll never forget it because it was just so clear and so profound on how dominant they were with shutting it down. Like, it wasn't even close. Like, it was like, yeah, okay, boom, out of there. It was dope.
It was definitely prophetic, you know. And first and foremost, I did share with you that the council that you saw are called the Great White Brotherhood, and it has nothing to do with skin tone, but they're called because they're such ascended, like, I don't know how many dimensional beings, but they're, you know, it includes like Buddha, you know, it includes all the ascended masters, but huge beings, those that even don't even look human, right?
Right.
And they're called the Great White Brotherhood. And when I was becoming an ordained minister in Soul Evolution, we did a meditation to ascend we can't even ascend to their frequency. They have to come down to us. You know, that's how powerful it is. But, you know, we had we held hands and we meditated, and we saw and met with the Great White Brotherhood, and the amount of power and love, but structure. It's like having a parent that is very loving, but they're no bullshit. You know, not to mess with them. It's an automatic knowing. There's no getting by here, you know? And so when I became ordained, we with a special anointed oil, we were blessed with the Great White Brotherhood symbol, which, you know, for us, it means that we're ready to be of service to humanity. And we agree. It's almost like a contract. But I find that you having that experience during the session was insane, in a good way, insane. And that tells me that you're there. You are there. And they're telling you, and let me tell you, no lie, the 20 you were talking about the dream that you had. Watch what happens in 2026. Watch what happens in 2026. you know, seeing extraterrestrials, like them coming out more and more, you know, the last couple of years is only the appetizer. 2026 will be the main dishes. And to be clear, and I didn't share this with you because I was actually watching a podcast and they themselves were talking about 2026, but they were also saying not only is it, there's a lot going on here on planet Earth in terms of polarity, but there's the UFOs that want to entertain the bullshit that's going on here. So there's also a war between the light and the dark within the UFOs.
Yeah.
So all of these things, 2026 is going to be quite interesting. So fasten your seatbelts in a good way. No fear mongering, in a very good way.
Yeah, buckle up, Buttercup, because I've seen my fair share of crafts. I actually got footage of a couple of them that I've seen. But yeah, it's a real thing. It's definitely real. And I've never really gotten into that part of you know, the consciousness and conscious community on this channel, but I'm definitely open to it if more people are interested in hearing more about it, because I've had my fair share of seeing crafts in and out, you know, coming in and out of the atmosphere multiple times. And a couple of them I got on footage, but it's powerful. It's powerful, and I know for a fact that I agree with that, with the 2026 thing. I never heard of it until you told me. How I was hoping it was gonna be this year, like for real. But you know, I mean,
it's the appetizer. 2025 will be like the second set of appetizers, and then it'll be the main dish in 2026. And you know, I mean, there's the Area 51. You know, all of these things will like, okay, so this is real. You know, they were trying to hide this, and you know, it's a beautiful thing, because you know, I just want to share with everyone that you are alive in an extremely auspicious time. You are blessed to be here to actually witness the change that's happening, and it's actually a wonderful thing, and you're here for a reason. You know, you're here for a reason. You're part of the change. So
that's facts. Nah, I love it. That's facts, and it's crazy because even on I think it's Netflix, they're speaking about a lot of the real stuff when it comes to that, and it's crazy.
It made it to Netflix. I mean, all of these, like, you know, accounts, what do you call it, media accounts are talking about it.
You can't hide it no more. And Ancient Aliens is one that is a good one on Netflix. I watched that series. They got a good one, and even for those who are into the Ancient Aliens series or documentaries, check out the one, if you haven't seen yet, on Mount Shasta, because
I saw that one.
Okay, so that literally is what we're talking about now, like literally. So what you do with your work and some of the experiences that I've had with meditations and astral projections and dreams is literally tapping into those worlds, into like that element of going into the inner earth, or you know, the higher level, the higher vibrational frequency aspects of the this humanoid experience that we're experiencing right now. But it's powerful.
And as a matter of fact, I have an ascended master of Mount Shasta called Adamo that's on my altar.
That's dope. Yep, and that's a portal. For those who don't know, Mount Shasta is one of the most active portals on the planet in terms of extraterrestrial and UFO activity. When they fly over, if you look at it, even if you Google it, you'll see those luminous clouds that go over it. Those luminous clouds are there for a purpose, because it's like an airport for crafts, and there's multiple ones on the planet. But Mount Shasta,
I love that.
It literally is a universal or galactical airport where the crafts come in and out of that thing like it's nothing. Just looking at the luminous clouds, you'll see how, you know, how powerful the top of that mountain is. So yeah, it's definitely gonna get deep.
I know it is. And have you heard of people trying to get into Mount Shasta and disappearing?
Yeah.
Like, why if there's a line there, why do you want to just try things? You know, like, respect the territory, respect boundaries.
No comment.
And now you're missing.
The comment I got is not a good one, so I'm believe it. But listen, but it's real, and some people have experienced it, at least so they say, like, because like you said with the council, like you have to be on a certain frequency to be able to like engage and interact with these types of beings.
They have to come down,
right,
as close to yours.
Yep. And they're not going to deal with somebody who's not thinking, or your energy's not on the right level. And not saying that anybody who has experienced that is better than anybody else. None of that. It's about pretty much where you are on an energetic field and what access you can get, what other fields can you get access to based off of where you are with your energy frequency. So the higher your frequency, the more access you can get to other higher dimensions. It's pretty much how it boils down. And then the access to communicating with higher, beings in higher dimensions is kind of how it works. So, but yeah, it's dope. It's dope. But it was a dope experience though. Like I said, I definitely I was like, yo, this is amazing. Like I was happy to see it because I was honored to see it and experience it, but I was happy to see it because it looks like they're pretty much, to me, it was like, yeah, it's not gonna go down the way people think. Like we trust and believe, not gonna let them blow up this planet. Like that ain't happening. So,
no, because if they try to use the nuclear, like first of all, do not be afraid of some kind of nuclear anything happening, because the thing about it is it messes with the timelines. It messes with the galactical timelines. They're not going to let that happen. Absolutely not. So yeah, they will interfere. They'll step their foot in and you will see them. And people will be like, oh, no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, now they will.
I don't want to bring out like a fear, but for most of us who, I would say the majority of the people who are walking in alignment with their spirituality, they'll be surprised but not surprised. Right. For those who are just narrow-minded or have tunnel vision, they'll be very confused. Very confused. Yeah. So.
And I feel like the listeners of this channel, I feel like everybody knows what it is. We're all in alignment. Like you're not going to be on this channel if you're not in alignment with what we speak about on this channel for sure. So I know the Ashe family is like, yeah, let's get it. I want to see it.
That's it.
Yeah. That's what's up. Well, man, I tell you what, this has been a phenomenal one, Millie. I definitely appreciate you.
It was supposed to be an hour.
Yeah. I'm blaming it on the extraterrestrials. They took over.
They sure did.
They took over, man. They took over. So yeah, I'm gonna blame it on them. But it was a cool call, man. I definitely enjoyed every minute of it for sure.
Thank you. I did too. This is great.
Yes, ma'am. So do you want to share anything with the listeners on the way out? So to kind of leave them with something.
Absolutely. Take advantage of this auspicious 888, regardless whether you attend my Zoom or you attend a physical workshop or you don't attend any of it. Do something for yourself. What is it that you would like to release? Whether it's a habit, an addiction, or, maybe an aspect of yourself that you want to change or transmute. Just think about what you want to let go, acknowledge it, even feel it, those things. And then, bring to surface what it is that you are ready for. What do you give yourself permission for or to receive? Give yourself permission for it because you deserve it, whatever it is that thing is. And if you want to join, just, send me an email. Orisha Gbemi will put it in the description. So just shoot me an email and I'll send you a Zoom link. And again, you don't have to give, but if you want to give something, you could give me a love offering.
I share. Yes, people give the offerings, please, because we definitely appreciate them. Because we give the love and the information for free, basically because of following our paths with spirit. So I feel like there's nothing wrong with showing love to the people who share and help try to inspire, uplift, empower, and heal, the listener and the world for that matter. So yeah, show Millie some love, man, and throw them donations at her. And as a matter of fact, she inspired me to do a workshop as well. So I'm definitely going to do something on 8/8. So I'll also be sharing that on the channel in the community section. And I'm thinking about doing a poll to see like which workshop I do. But I definitely want to do something with the Ashe listeners because I don't know if a lot of them know what I do in terms of as a consultant and a business coach. But I do that. I've been doing it for almost 8 years now. But I've also been working with the community college HCC here in Florida for this year, all of this year, 2024, with entrepreneurship and business coaching workshops. So I want to share that love and light with you guys, especially with what you kind of made clear for us on how powerful that date is, the 8/8 date.
Yes.
So I'm gonna put something together for the people as well. Not during your time. I'm gonna do it before.
No, so but I would love for you. I would love to invite you. I was going to say, why not? You can be part of it if you like. To bring in the Ifa portion to it. I totally invite you to be part of that, if you would like to. Absolutely.
Dude, you tell me what to do, man. Tell me where to go, coach. I'm with it for sure.
Yeah, I'll be like, okay, go ahead, take this over. People that want to attend the Lionsgate portal.
Nah, that's all good. We're gonna work it out. But with that, man, it was definitely a powerful conversation. I definitely appreciate you once again for taking the time to join us and dropping all this good metaphysical healing, psychic energy on us, man. We definitely appreciate it. So with that, hopefully we can do it again soon. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the African Spirituality Experience. I'm your host, Orisha Gbemi, and I will see y'all on the next episode. And y'all don't forget to check the comments and description for the Lionsgate portal that Millie is hosting on 8/8/2024 at 6:30 p.m. It's going to be a phenomenal event. I look forward to it. So thank y'all for tuning in. Don't forget to please like, share, and subscribe. We appreciate y'all. We are out. Peace.
Peace and blessings.
Ẹni tó gbàgbé ilé sàpò ìyàgbọ́ tẹ́ǹtì ẹni takísà ní tàtàn ò bá padà sílé anítìjàkọ ẹja lọ pé eégún mo sí ẹni gbẹ́rẹ́ ìpàkọ́. Forsake not your ancestors and praise your